Thank you, Mr. President. Well, let me first say that there's something that we all agree on, Democrats and Republicans here in this chamber, is that we want federal employees to be paid. It's simply unacceptable that they have to work and come to work every day, do their job, and not get paid. That's why we got to end the shutdown as quickly as possible. We're focused on doing that. But that's not really exactly the total story behind the Johnson bill. I have legislation to pay federal employees now. We could vote on that now. I offered it in a UC request from my colleague from Wisconsin and said, we have a bill to pay all federal employees right now. No strings attached, no language that gives the president more power, more flexibility to do things that we should not want him to do. But my Republican colleagues don't want to have that bill. Senator Van Hollen, another colleague of mine, has a bill to pay it. It has complete support of Democrats. Let's pay them. We have two bills that if we put on the floor right now, we could pass. If my Republican friends really want to do it, we could pass it with 100 votes. And I'm happy to, it's my bill, but any of you can sign it. I offered it to my colleague from Wisconsin. It could be your bill. Give it. I don't need any authorship of it, but it's a bill that does exactly what my colleagues across the aisle are saying, just pay federal employees. That's what it would do, and yet that's rejected. So why? Well, there's a little bit more in this bill. In fact, the Johnson bill before us actually creates an unlimited and permanent slush fund for President Trump to use. You're not going to get support here from us to transfer what should be congressional power to be able to determine when we want money spent, it actually gets spent the way it should be. It's not about passing a slush fund to the president. The president could justify the transfer of this money elsewhere. This is something clearly the administration wants because it's going to give the White House more power. The bill adds presidential authority by it omits the regular safeguards that we include in normal funding bills to ensure that money actually goes where Congress intends. Now, we've been seeing a lot of that. The president basically is just thumbing his nose at Congress every day. Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues say, well, that's okay. If the president doesn't want to listen to the Congress, that's okay with them. We are a co-equal branch of government. We're elected by the people back home to represent our people as senators. We're not here just to rubber stamp a president. I know a lot of my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle, I'm surprised because a lot of really great people that I have a lot of respect for, and yet we see the president constantly run over Congress, and it's crickets on the other side. No pushback from my Republican colleagues, either here in the Senate or in the House. There's actually, in this bill, there's no explicit guarantee or requirement to actually pay out this money. The administration could sit on this appropriation. We're just blank check appropriation for employees, but the administration can just sit on it for some, or those particular programs they don't like. That's why in a normal appropriations bill, we put in language to prevent that. Now, granted, the president has been ignoring Congress, but at least we put it. We're saying these are the rules. Congress has the power of the purse. It's Article 1 of the Constitution. And yet a lot of my colleagues don't seem to take that to heart. So most appropriations bills, including the current House continuing resolution proposal, actually includes restrictions on how funding should be used. The Johnson bill includes no restrictions. And we know that Trump has shown that he will abuse the budget process in very novel ways. He has said that he will refuse to pay back pay to workers even when Congress has explicitly said it. This bill hopefully does address that. He's transferred money illegally to pay for his political priorities, and he impounds money whenever he finds any kind of wiggle room to do that. So in a sense, this bill is a Trojan horse. It's there to say we're going to help federal employees, but it's really continued power for the president. I've heard my colleagues say that the federal employees are being used as pawns. That's what this bill does. It's using federal employees as pawns to give the OMB and the president a whole lot more power to use a slush fund of money in any way he chooses. We know the OMB director, Russ Vought, likes this bill. We know what Russ Vought's about. In fact, I think there was a leaked speech that Russ Vogt had, we mentioned this in the committee, and my colleagues, I appreciate them saying how wonderful federal workers are. But this is what the OMB director, who says this is really a good bill, the Johnson bill is a really good bill. He said, we want the, quote, we want the bureaucrats to be trauma. They have to be affected by trauma. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want to put them in trauma. I hope my Republican colleagues called out Mr. Vogt when he said that, because you care so much about our employees. I appreciate that. But when folks in the administration say things like this, please say that is wrong, that we really do care about you. Not when you're trying to put a bill forward that's going to give the president an unlimited slush fund. Let's be real. If you want to pay employees, which I hope you do, if you want to move forward, then take a bill that we know has the kind of guardrails that our appropriation bills normally do to make sure the money is actually spent as we intend in Congress, which is the way it's supposed to work under Article 1 of the Constitution. I still believe in the Constitution. I still believe that we are a co-equal branch of government. We are not simply a rubber stamp for the president. And if we don't change that way, that's how you lose the checks and balances that our founders cared so deeply about. You know, as our founders were debating the Constitution, they didn't trust any of us. They knew, they're politicians too. They knew you can't trust anybody. So they figure we're going to have three branches. We're going to have the judiciary check the Congress and the president. The Congress will check the presidential power. And Article 1 is the Congress. They thought the Congress was the most important one. But they kind of assumed that the Congress would actually exercise its power and check presidential power, not just hand more to them with a smile and then use false pretexts in order to give that money. So that's what this bill is about. And you know, I've tried to work with Senator Johnson. I will always want to work with him. We've worked on a number of bills together. We have language. Again, the bills that we have that I've introduced, which is the Military and Federal Employees Protection Act, it's a straight, clean bill. We talk about union support. Every union has supported my legislation. Every union has supported Senator Van Hollen's. And we're now getting unions. Unions are starting to read the fine print on this bill right now. So we have AFSCME that's now come out against it. We got the SEIU that has just come out against it. We have the AFL-CIO that has just come out against it. We have the IFPTE that just coming out. And our union friends are going to read the language of this bill and they're going to like, oh, we should have read the fine print. Like, yes, it's really important to read the fine print. So we can't support this bill. We can support a bill that pays all of our employees, but it's got to be one that has the types of protections that we have in every other appropriations bill that we try to pass out of this body. So I'm going to oppose this, but hopefully we can find a way to work together. We have two bills ready to go we could pass today, but with this bill, we are going to object to this one. Thank you.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Is the senator from Wisconsin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not quite sure what planet the senator from Michigan comes from, but here on planet Earth, when you read the actual language of the bill, none of these FANA provisions exist in there. But I will go through those point by point before we call for the final vote. Right now, I think Senator from Nebraska has a few points he wants to make.